G'day YouTube, Warbles on a lot here. This is a movie I probably should have made 10 days ago because it's the 10th of September 2013. 10 days ago it was the 1st of September 2013, and that means that here in Australia it was Father's Day. Now, those of you who are familiar with my channel are aware that even though I live as a hillbilly hermit on an endangered species sanctuary, I have a couple of kids. The younger one is 22, about to turn 23. She lives in a flat in town and has long blonde hair down to her knees, and she has a razor sharp wit, and so far no young bloke has been brave enough to make an attempt. The older one of my kids, he's 24. Ooh, he's an auto electrician. When he was 17 years and 50 weeks old, he was the youngest deputy captain in the New South Wales RFS. And a week before he turned 24, he was made full captain of a brigade with 2 fire engines. And he's a qualified raft team member as well, remote area firefighting team. So, last time we talked about it, he said he was the only captain on the team, so therefore he's probably captain of the raft team as well as having a brigade and 2 fire trucks. He's far enough into that headspace that last time I was talking to him I said, listen son, wouldn't it be better off to stick with the idea of having 3 tons of water and a pump on a fire truck when you want to go playing with the bushfires? And he was telling me about what he called tanker wankers. Right, so he's got his heart set on being helicoptered out in front of the firestorm with a backpack full of 2-stroke fuel, a chainsaw and a rake hoe. Yeah, I admire my son. He's a much better man than I am. But anyway, my kids, who grew up here, you know, in a 2-room hut, which didn't get electricity in the second room until they were 10 or 12, they gave me some wonderful presents for Father's Day, and I've just got to share them on YouTube, okay? Now, take particular notice of the state of age and disrepair of the hammock on the veranda. Yes? My Father's Day kind of began probably on about Monday when my daughter said, "Oh Dad, I need the TV guide, can you go and get it for me on Thursday's paper?" So I bought the Thursday's paper, right? And little did I know, yeah, that's a bit of a Father's Day present for my second cousin, the father of young Bill Cruz. We won't go into that now, but you know, that's the story. We go through the paper, and well, here's a bit of good news for the family. My second cousin in Hammock, his daughter's got married, and yeah, she's had a second baby as well. It's had a month after the wedding. And if we get past the advertisements for getting drunk, what we find in here is all this Father's Day stuff. And yeah, we get up there, that's my second cousin's new grandson. There he is with his couple of grandkids. So I was having a pretty good time reading the paper, you know. Family's got into it twice, and then I get up here, and what do we say? Happy Father's Day to the world's most generous, talkative, and overall awesome papa in the world. Lots of love, Liz. And I thought, gee, you know, delusions of adequacy, ideas of reference, is that perhaps maybe talking about me? So I decided to have a little bit of a look. Welcome to my mobile phone. We're in the message details folder. We can see that on the 18th of May, the message came in saying, "Oh, thank you, smiley face, smiley face, smiley face." We click OK and we see that it came from Lizzie Lib New Mobile. Now that would be my daughter. Now the message above it, "You was a good papa." face. Psychic, smiley face. Home safe, smiley face. You still breathing, Papa? I mean, she hasn't seen me for a couple of days. High-pitched squealy squeals. High-pitched squealy scream. Ah, my desk, smiley face, smiley face, smiley face. Awesome sauce, thank you. Papa, smiley face. Liz, home safe, smiley face. Home safe from my son. Okay, so that's a fair sample of how my daughter talks to me in text messages. Read that again. Happy Father's Day to the world's most generous, talkative and overall awesome papa in the world. Lots of love, Liz. Well, I read that one out to my mother when she rang me up on Father's Day, and she reckoned that it was my daughter. She also suggested to my son that this would be a good idea. So he organised it, and there's not one but two. Brand new. One to be put up straight away. I'm going to come out of there. Operated left-handed while filming. This is the first time I've ever seen one that comes in its own little bag. There we go. Try not to tangle this. What we have is two new hammocks for the old man. To lie back and look at the pyramids and the solar panels and the Tower of Power, because that's how the hammock was positioned and sited and installed originally, so that one could lie back in the hammock and watch the electricity being harvested. Isn't that great? Haven't I got an awesome pair of kids? Yeah? Take notice of that, all you anti-natalists out there. It's entirely possible to be born and raised in abject poverty on the very outside edge of a society that thinks your parents are half-wits, and you can still grow up to be really happy, nice, worthwhile, contented people. Life is not nothing but suffering and cannibalism and reproduction. Life is a good choice. All you have to do is work really hard at not being an arsehole and cuddle your babies and talk to them and answer their questions. My kids grew up with candles and kerosene lights. This was, you know, where they got to play. They learned to walk up here and learn to talk up here. And yeah, I'm really glad that I can say I've read the collected works of Neville Shute out loud twice to my kids, or that I've read the entire Harry Potter series out loud to my kids, because I don't have a television. And guess what? In spite of me never having had a job in their entire lifetime, my kids turned out to be bloody nice people. How many of these poor silly bastards who work their arse off 40, 50, 60, 80 hours a week trying to pay the mortgage so that they can finally get a flat screen TV in every room in the house? They get to the point where their kids leave high school and the little buggers hate their parents' guts. It's not about how much money you got or how much money you can spend. It's about how much time you can spend listening to the children and talking back, speaking with them. Anyway, just thought I'd chuck that in, you know. Because let's face it, nobody else in the Dundee Rural Fire Service Brigade raised their kid to be a 17-year-old deputy captain and a 24-year-old full brigade captain. To do that, you had to be a hillbilly hermit, a fool on the hill. And you know what? Come on, I'll show you. My son's first firefighting backpack. Yeah? This dates back to 1994. And that was a 4-litre backpack. Right? And I stood my then 5-year-old here at the corner and I said, you keep the fire away from the hut while I go out and put the tree out. When we were having the first hazard reduction burn here since 1958, because there had been a fire, not on the neighbour's place, but on the place on the other side of the neighbour's place. That's how I raised my son, to be a fire brigade captain. I got him involved in fighting fires when he was 5 years old. Which is probably not the way the Occupational Health and Safety Handbook suggests you should do it. You know, the fellas who write the textbook say, oh, you're not allowed on the fire ground until you're at least 16. Yes, well, my kid was 15 before he got on an actual fire ground, and even then he'd had 10 years experience. And while we're looking at the non-standard equipment, hope you enjoy the Vietnam Vintage Battle Pack backpack sprayer conversion, which has been duplicated with a high school backpack, just in case the ancient ready-use fire extinguishers should prove to be not yet quite sufficient. Anyway, that's my Father's Day rave, 10 days late. Let's hope it doesn't upset too many of the wankers in the rural fire service. Because every now and then somebody has a software program that goes through everything on YouTube, and if you mention the RFS anywhere in your soundtrack, they actually complain to head office in Sydney, and head office in Sydney complains to Glen Innes, and then Glen Innes does various things which I won't go into. But there are people who get the shits if I dare to mention the letters RFS anywhere within my movie, and I'm just about inebriated enough that I don't really care if what I say annoys the powers that be. Label out malt liquor because life's pretty good. Life is a good choice. I'm really happy that my kids like me enough to give me a hammock to lie in and a spare for when it wears out. Warble's on a lot to YouTube. I really enjoy being a mad scientist. And I'm actually a whole lot more productive for society, because I think I would have gone stir crazy if I'd tried to live in the middle of the town and the city. And if I'd gone stir crazy, I wouldn't have been able to raise my two kids to be nice people. And they are. They're both much nicer than I was at their age. Much, much, much better developed, more mature in their outlook, better understanding of how the world works. I think by a lot of standards, not financially of course, I'm not nearly as rich as my father was, but I think at a lot of standards I've done better than he did in raising, you know, me. I don't know how he did with my half siblings, but I know I've done better than my father did in raising my kids. Such is my conceit. To balance that, I was a bloody awful stepfather. Do feel free to ask my stepson that. You can't ask the other one because he's not here to ask. But yeah, I was the stepfather from hell, but I did do all right as being a father. Wish I could have been better at being a stepfather, but you know, time goes one way. You live and you learn, or you don't live long. And I've learned that Brady Bunch is a bullshit. And I've learned that I'm really glad I'm a father. I feel really sorry for people who don't want to have kids. I admire them because the world's got too many people. But I feel kind of sorry for them because they're never going to get the thrill of having to work out whether that Father's Day message in the newspaper is actually from one of their kids. They're never going to get the thrill of opening a present that their kid has put some time and thought and effort into acquiring and presenting to them. Sorry about that, there was a mosquito biting the hand that's holding the filming of the camera. So anyway, Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Happy Father's Day, 10 days late.